Welcome to Civ 6 Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. Games are played on deity, no challenges. Generally, I don't use mods or game modes, except for Sucretak's Oceans. A great game is epic and tells a story. It has a history. All condensed down into 20 minutes. Along the way, you can learn tips and tricks on how to be a better Civ player, as well as strategies on how to play specific civilizations. Today we are looking at the game I played as Theodora of Byzantium. We started on a desert tile. Given what was around, founding my capital on that tile might have been the smart thing to do, but I moved over to a grassland tile. It offered no substantial yield benefit over starting on the desert tile. We were the first civilization to meet Nalanda and were happy for the early science boost. Only a couple of turns later, we discovered that Mount Kilimanjaro, a sacred natural wonder, was nearby. This would help us in our quest to secure a religion that would help us win the game. In 3280 BC, we met Portugal. While our troops were preoccupied with barbarians near our capital, our scouts spotted Portuguese settlers who were foolishly traveling without a militarized escort. Our settler, was on the run and protected by a simple scout. But they were able to boldly found the city of Sinope, completely disregarding the barbarian camp situated right at their doorstep. The next turn, Antioch was founded. Just 30 turns into the game, and Byzantium had expanded its empire to 3 cities. That year, we also met Simon Bolivar of Gran Colombia. Our brave scout, who had already captured slaves that would found a city, then captured more slaves who could improve those cities. A barbarian archer then killed our brave scout, who had provided valuable slaves for our empire. Good work, buddy. A monument will be erected in your honor. Byzantine troops made an effective defense of Sinope and eliminated once and for all the nearby barbarians. In 2400 BC, while struggling to contain the barbarian hordes to the north, knowing how many sources of marble and stone were in our lands, we decided to follow the Stone Circle's pantheon. We chose Amani as our governor and plugged her into Nalanda, hoping to gain suzerainty over her. Barbarians were becoming a real nuisance, but it forced Byzantium to focus its early efforts on building its military. We became suzerain of Nalanda, whose troops would help to ward off the oncoming Portuguese military. With the dawn of the classical era, we discovered horseback riding. Satisfied with becoming suzerain of Nalanda, we decided to move Amani and hoped to earn era score by becoming suzerain of Preslav. We also chose our favorite early era dedication of free inquiry. With horses to spare, we sold some to Gran Colombia for money and wondered if we'd see these horses in the field ride against us someday. Now that we had finally built a holy site, late in the game to start on a religious path, we checked the religion situation and determined that obtaining a religion was important enough to the long game to run the Holy Site Prayers project. In 1880 BC, we met Dido of Phoenicia. That pesky barbarian camp to the north had been a real problem for a long time, but we destroyed them in 1720 BC. Now we could focus our advance on Portugal. In 1560 BC, we unlocked our Tier 1 government and chose autocracy. In 1440 BC, our aim to recruit a great prophet was realized, and we recruited Confucius. The Portuguese sent their heavy chariots at Sinope, and Byzantium was forced to defend its slave city with all its armies. The foolish Portuguese left more settlers unprotected, and we made them slaves as well. Our Portuguese slaves founded the city of Trebizond, which would mine the iron we needed to make our armies invincible. Portugal had been harassing us for peace for centuries. By 800 BC, they offered us better terms, and we took it for the money. 25 years later, something interesting and totally game-shifting happened. Hoping to profit from an even nominally better science output, one of our builders leveraged our suzerainty over Nalanda and built a Mahavira improvement. Unbeknownst to us at the time, the first Mahavira that a civilization builds grants a new technology. Having only recently discovered ironworking, we skipped the queue and discovered apprenticeship. We built our first hippodrome soon after. We used our faith to recruit Trong Trak, anticipating going to war as soon as our men-at-arms were ready. We entered the medieval era with a golden age. Our nearest rivals, the Portuguese, entered a dark age. They would be ripe for the taking. Believing it would be time to found and begin to spread our religion, despite having already earned a great profit, we chose the Exodus of the Evangelist dedication. Our next focus would be to build temples and secure our religion within our borders. Gran Colombia had been spreading Catholicism for centuries, and the Portuguese were now busy spreading Taoism. In 475 BC, sensing a war was inevitable, skipping swordsmen altogether, we upgraded one of our warriors to a man-at-arms. Zhao wondered what was going on, asked, and we explained that it was time for him to die. We also used this opportunity to start condemning heretics. The House of Confucius had been around for a while. It was several generations of his ancestors in 450 BC who decreed that the laws of his teaching should be codified, and we founded our religion. We chose work ethic and holy order as the bedrock of our beliefs. With only 2 cities following our religion, we were under threat of our religion coming to a swift end. We would need to be aggressive. Portuguese and Byzantine forces met along the Guadiana River, where the fate of 2 civilizations would be decided. Taking up strategic positions along the north side of the river, Portuguese troops were no match for the Byzantines. We recruited the great merchant Marcus Licinius Crassus to our cause, receiving several cultural civic boosts in doing so. It was with relief that our first temple was finally built so that we could recruit an apostle. Coimbra revolted against the Portuguese and became a free city, helping our horse unit survive the day. With our apostle, we immediately launched an inquisition to free our cities from foreign religions. We didn't realize it at first, but our religion spreads to nearby cities from combat victories. Lisbon succumbed to the pressure and converted to our religion. Our assault on Braga was underway. Coimbra, which was already a free city, would join the Byzantines without our forces needing to intervene. Adjusting their sail to the prevailing winds, in 1 AD, Coimbra joined the Byzantine Empire. In 50 AD, Braga fell, opening the floodgates to the Portuguese Empire. With their army now in ruins, the battle between Portuguese and Byzantine forces along the Douro River were swift and decisive, with the forces of Byzantium taking the day. Byzantine forces then advanced on Lisbon. In 150 AD, exploring further north than Byzantine scouts had ever traveled, apostles, keen to spread their message, discovered the fabled Portuguese city of Porto. Phoenician settlers then boldly founded the city of Sidon on lands Byzantines believed to be theirs. In 250, Lisbon fell to the Byzantine army, and the future of our empire spiritually and militarily looked secure. Once again, we entered a new era and chose the exodus of the evangelist's dedication, while our nearest rivals were again mired in a dark age. Bandar Brunei's only crime was being in the way of me and total domination over the Portuguese. We entered their territory with hostile intent. In 400 AD, we discovered divine right and chose monarchy as our Tier 2 government, focusing our policies on an aggressive military combined with rapid growth and expansion. In 450 AD, Bandar Brunei fell and became part of the Byzantine Empire. We had heard tales of a civilization led by Simon Bolivar in the vast fog to our north. It wasn't until we began to strike at Porto that our cartographers mapped the first lines of the Colombian frontier. In 580 AD, Byzantine forces entered Porto, wiping the Portuguese civilization from the earth and resigning them to a mere footnote in history. As we explored through Colombian territory, we saw them at war with Dido and the Phoenicians with their city of Popayan teetering. After our discovery of Reformed Church, our brief experiment with monarchy was complete, and we shifted to theocracy with a focus on faith generation, modernizing our army and preparing for combat against civilizations following different religions. Upgrading our catapults to trebuchets, along with a portion of our robust cavalry, we trusted that we would have the strength to do battle against Colombia. In 740 AD, we declared war. Our first target was Maracaibo, whose city was right up against our border. It fell the same year. Cartagena was next. Without city walls, they were no match for us, and Cartagena fell the very next turn. In 820 AD, we built the Colosseum. We had designs of world domination, and this symbol of our greatness would appease those who might be opposed to our warmongering. We put Caracas under siege, even though they slyly erected city walls while our troops were in the vicinity. It would slow us down, but only by so much. We were unable to hold Maracaibo, but we were advancing swiftly through Colombian territory. In the long run, some early loyalty issues would not matter. We took Caracas the same turn. As we advanced on Valencia de Carabobo, they built city walls. Did they learn nothing from the fall of Caracas? The city fell a couple of turns later. Yet again, those pesky Colombians built city walls in a city I was laying siege to. Taxes has to be the most broken civ ability, because going to war with Byzantium almost guarantees golden ages, as it did in this game. Despite their resistance, we took Cuenca. Bogota was well defended and threatened to block our conquest of the northwest. We were also bankrupt. We brokered a peace deal with Colombia just to be able to turn a profit and consolidate the lands we had won. We entered the industrial era with a golden age. Gran Colombia, on the other hand, entered a dark age. Controlling their newly won lands would be swift, and it was certain we would be at war again soon so we could finish the job. We completed the tenets of our religion by adding cross-cultural dialogue and the stupa building to our set of beliefs. Better science, more amenities. In 1110 AD, we met Frederick Barbarossa of Germany. We set up a favorable trade deal that sent some of our excess luxury goods in exchange for gold to ease our economic worries. Maracaibo, which had been part of Byzantium for a short time, flipped into a free city, acting as a buffer between the Byzantine and Colombian empires. Now able to cross ocean tiles with our sea craft, in 1190 AD we met Mvemba Nzinga of the Congo, and once again we traded our excess luxury items for gold. We were now turning a tidy profit. The next turn, we met Matthias Corvinus of Hungary, and again we traded luxuries for gold. In 1210, we built the Terracotta Army that would add a promotion to all of our military units. We were becoming more ready, once again, for conquest. The same year, we met John Curtin of Australia. Though we had little left to trade, we brokered a small deal just because they hadn't yet realized that we were bent on conquering the world. And then we realized we had excess diplomatic favor, and the AI likes that, so more gold for us. We went and tried the same thing on Hungary. Before we knew it, we were earning more than 100 gold per turn. In 1240 AD, intrepid explorers from Byzantium were the first to circumnavigate the globe. We held off attacking Maracaibo while it was free, preferring not to take it by force. In 1260, the people of Maracaibo held a referendum and decided to cede to Byzantine rule and became part of our empire forever after. We immediately plugged in our professional army policy and upgraded our military units in preparation for a holy war against Colombia. When we were ready, we explained to Simon Bolivar what would happen and that he would eventually be forced to cede his lands to us. It's just business. Using the casus belli gave us the inspiration for nationalism and allowed us to form corps. The enemy advanced on Maracaibo, but they were no match for us. In the year 1330, hoping to neutralize me as a threat to world domination, Germany and Australia joined forces in a formal war against us, but they were far away and little threat. In 1350, Lisbon, the former Portuguese capital, proved its true Byzantine spirit by building Petra. In 1370, after decades of siege, Byzantine forces entered the city of Panama. In 1410, our capital city of Constantinople built Huey Teocalli, granting our warrior people more amenities. In 1430, Byzantium, continuing their northern invasion, took Guayaquil. Forces close to our capital spotted a stray band of settlers and brought them into the Byzantine fold. We entered the modern era by stringing together back-to-back golden ages. In 1490, we marched into the Colombian capital. In 1520, Byzantine troops entered Popayan. It was Germany that declared war on us. Our main forces were busy claiming our home continent in the name of Byzantium. We had conquered Portugal and Colombia was about to fall. Phoenicia would be next, so for now, we would have to be content with fighting a war against Germany through piracy. In 1545, when Byzantine troops marched on Cali, it put an end, once and for all, to Colombia and the Catholic infidels. The stage was set, and just 10 years after defeating Colombian Catholicism, Byzantium took it upon themselves to remove the scourge of Phoenician Hinduism from the face of the earth. By 1575, Byzantine armies had liberated Singapore and immediately made them part of the empire. Seizing such a strategically important city would open a gateway to the northeast. Just 5 years later, and Congo announced that they had landed on the moon. We were going to need to accelerate our domination efforts because it was evident that we were severely behind scientifically. In 1595, we built the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. It's a wonder we always build because it's great, and the AI never builds it for some reason. The Congo must have thought they had this game all locked up. They boldly founded the city of Katango in an area of the map that was clearly designed to be living space for Byzantines. Our conquest of the northeast continued as we invaded Byblos. As we had recently discovered refining and revealed oil, it was time to upgrade our siegecraft, who had until this point almost single-handedly won various wars for us, so we upgraded them from bombards into artillery. To do this, we plugged in our force modernization policy card. Piracy and pillaging proved to be quite profitable. We discovered class struggle and instituted our Tier 3 government and became communists. The walls of Ugarit were no match for our artillery, and our small group of elite forces took the city in 1630. In 1640, the Phoenician capital city of Tyre fell to the Byzantines. It was a victory that would ensure a third successive golden age. I was profiting too much from piracy to end my war with Australia, and I vowed to wipe Hinduism off the face of the earth. But for now, I decided to end the war with Germany for a small profit. Their time would come. Congo made a fatal mistake by thinking that Armagh had more of a right to be free than to be part of the Byzantine Empire. They came to the aid of the Phoenicians to restore Armagh's independence and declared war on me. We entered the atomic era with a golden age, but then again, so did everybody. The Congo, whose aim it was to restore independence to Armagh, approached our Phoenician shore with their battleships and submarines. Guidance systems is one of my favorite techs in the game. My siege units were already some of the strongest units on the planet, so I immediately upgraded them. From here on, it would be lights out courtesy of my rocket artillery. I had broken the backs of the Phoenicians. From here, it was just a matter of mopping up the stray cities in the northeast that clung to a distant Phoenician past. In 1700 AD, Beiruta fell, leaving Sidon as the final Phoenician stronghold. In 1710, in the city Guayaquil, we built the Taj Mahal to honor our victory over Colombia. The next turn, Antioch completed the Hagia Sophia for no other real reason but to add prestige to our empire. In 1720, Sidon fell. Phoenicia and Hinduism were no more, resigned to a footnote in history. Now it was time to take Katango. But suddenly we noticed an entire religious army looking to evangelize Hungarian Judaism in our lands. In 1760, we took Katango. It was time to explore overseas conquests and make sure Judaism didn't take a foothold on our continent. War with Hungary was imminent. Evidently, Congo had already developed a frightening technology that allowed them to build the dreaded giant death robot. We discovered that Hungary had converted all civilizations to Judaism but ours, and now they had converted Edessa. The religious conquest needed to be stopped, so we declared a holy war. We quickly went to condemning all of the heretics that had entered our lands. They had arrived on our western shores as well. Our cities, for the first time, were under the threat of invasion, both military and religious. Our troops fought valiantly in fending off our enemies, often with inferior or wounded troops. In order to focus our war effort on our most immediate threats, I brokered a peace deal with John Curtin of Australia. We were also hemorrhaging money, and an overseas war effort could not be funded until we started to turn some kind of profit. I made peace with Movember Nzinga to keep his giant death robots off our back. Ending the war with the Congo would help our amenities problem and restore some happiness to our people. We would then be able to concentrate our war effort on Hungary. In 1806, after building our first spaceport, Sergei Korolev completed our first Earth satellite. We were far behind in science. This would at least help us to stay in the race. But conquest was always our primary objective. Still, we used our faith to patron Carl Sagan. Fearing a space-based victory for the Congo, we used Sergei Korolev's second charge to launch our moon landing. In 1808, our troops charged into the free city of Adelaide, hoping to use it as a beachhead. It was only the atomic era, and somehow we felt behind, but we adopted a Tier 4 government of synthetic technocracy with our policies focused mainly on our war effort. We spent a number of saved envoys to become suzerain of Brussels, who would act as a buffer between us and our enemies on this new continent. With our troops in position and now, finally, turning a profit, needing more space on this new continent to avoid loyalty issues, we declared war on Australia. We organized a small invasion force to Hungary's south and met with some early resistance. Our forces overwhelmed Toowoomba. Movember Nzinga was about to take Hattusa. So doing would block our penetration deeper into the continent. It wasn't on our agenda yet, but we declared war on Hattusa, hoping to take her so that the Congo would not. And within seconds, we were successful. Our sudden invasion of Hattusa upset our enemies and they aligned against us, bringing the mighty Congo back into the fight to free her. Hattusa appeared destined to fall. We retreated, hoping to lose this battle but maybe win the war. The alliance against us won their effort to free Hattusa, but the war was just beginning. Our invasion of Hungary began to bear fruit and we took the town of Szeged. Our veteran troops, pushed back from Hattusa, mounted a massive counter-offensive that annihilated the bulk of the Congo's army. The Battle of Hattusa would prove to be the turning point in the war. We were unable to hold Szeged, but disorder within the Hungarian mainland hurt them more than it helped us. Our veteran troops outside of Hattusa made short work of the Congo's death robots and took the city again. Congo launched their exoplanet expedition and then freed Hattusa a second time. Matching them punch for punch, we took Hattusa a third time. Once again, in an effort to enlist the help of the city-states to block our enemies on their own continent, we invested a great many envoys that we had saved to become suzerain of Akkad. None of our enemies could match our golden age, so we chose automaton warfare as our dedication and got straight to work in taking over the world. We took Kolozsvár, which promised to open territory for us in Hungary. We captured Szeged for a second time, hoping to hold it for good. The Battle of Hattusa raged on, but we were able to hold it. After fighting off Australia's counter-offensive, we took Hobart. Initial efforts to sustain the war effort in Hungary failed as both Szeged and Kolozsvár flipped to free cities. The fate of the world would be decided at Mbamba Lvata. Using Hattusa as our stronghold, we were able to mount a major offensive and took the city. Though we lost our veteran artillery in the region, one of our GDRs showed up in Hungary to retake the towns we had captured and quell any further uprisings. In 1852, we established a colony on Mars. The same year, we sent out our exoplanet expedition. Still, our objective was to win via conquest. Hungarian cities were no match for our giant death robot, and although they were reluctant to fall into the Byzantine fold, it would not be long before we wiped Hungarian Judaism from the map. Our troops walked into Mbanza Mabata with little resistance. The Congo was ahead of us in the space race. It meant needing to wipe their civilization from existence, or else we'd lose. Our discovery of advanced power cells was the death knell for my enemies. With the 30% siege bonus for my army of giant death robots, it meant the end was near. Using this new technology, the Congolese city of Quila was the first to fall. Now, one by one, Congolese cities would become part of the Byzantine Empire. We felt it our duty to clean up the cities of this primitive south. Hungarian and German lands were in disarray, mired in local disputes. It was up to Byzantium to impose order on this backward part of the world that had been within the dominion of Congolese science and Hungarian religion. Once Akkad had fulfilled their purpose of blocking the enemy, it reached a point where their population caused loyalty issues for my newly taken cities. I needed them to feel more Byzantine. In 1870, we captured the Congo's capital city of Mbanza, Congo. After seizing Akkad, loyalty with Hungarian cities would no longer be a problem. When we took Lemba Bula, it showed that we were prepared to engage the enemy on every front and would squeeze them from the west and the east. By taking Kongo, we controlled a stretch of the continent from coast to coast, breaking the Congo in half. By 1872, we marched on the Hungarian capital. Hungarian cities became so easy to take that all that was required was a single airstrike on their defenses, and a single giant death robot was able to walk in and take the town. After seizing all of the cities with their spaceports, we discovered that the Congo's exoplanet expedition had been lost in space. The map was now so tilted in our favor that we began taking 4 to 5 towns every turn. By 1876, we destroyed Hungary once and for all, ending their religious path to victory. A few former German towns that had been disputed in wars between Germany and the Congo had been free cities for decades. With the sway of the continent now firmly under our control, they were brought under Byzantine rule. Germany never really liked us, but we had our sights set on total domination, so we decided we may as well go to war with them too. In 1878, the Congo made their last stand at the ancient German capital of Aachen before they were defeated once and for all. Germany and Australia were mere provinces of the Congo and would soon fall as well. Canberra was the only capital left to capture, but I like my domination victories to be thorough, so I concentrated on taking the last of the German cities to the south. To rub it in their noses, my rock bands played epic concerts in the lands that I would soon seize control of. What I hadn't realized was that, in my pursuit of total domination, with every victory I spread my religion, which became the dominant religion of both Australia and Germany. When my forces took Dortmund, I achieved victory, but not the way I thought I would. It was not my mighty military that won the game, but my religion that inspired the whole world. So, what did I learn? Number 1. The Tax's civ ability is broken, or OP as I hear the kids say. The fact that you spread religion with every military victory makes the religious snowball invincible. This ability, combined with Crusade, could make things ridiculous. Moreover, the fact that you gain military victories against those you are at war with, thereby converting their cities along the way, means that you earn era score with every city you convert while you are at war. Here we strung Golden Ages back to back to back, and would have earned a 4th in a row if we had played the game into the future era. Taxis is a Golden Age cheat code. However, Taxis makes a domination victory nearly impossible unless you storm straight for your opponent's capitals. I got off to a great start in this game, but was surprised at how easily I was able to defeat Gran Colombia, who is typically a strong military opponent. Full credit goes to my veteran bombards. Having 2 or more modern siege units that have the forward observer's promotion can really turn the tide of a war and make your offense unstoppable. Hungary might have actually come closest to defeating me. Most of the religions were founded on my continent, so Hungary's form of Judaism was allowed to spread unhindered. Although the Congo were the most advanced, it was the Hungarian apostles arriving on my shores to convert my cities that really forced my hand. Once the decision was made to invade the other continent, it was the Battle of Hattusa that stood at the crossroad between victory and defeat. Once I was able to hold it for good, the balance of the game turned heavily in our favor. We took Hattusa for the 3rd and final time at turn 287 and won the game at turn 312, taking 20 or 30 cities in those 25 turns. Finally, advanced power cells is the technology that really accelerates a hostile takeover, making the giant death robot's ranged attack a truly devastating instrument of warfare. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to keep playing and making your own civilization stories, your own amazing past through history. And I'll see you next time.